So, what does it really mean to be just? Is it as simple as an eye for an eye? Today, we're going to dive into one single incredibly powerful verse from the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, that gives us a much more complex answer. It's a principle of justice that's about so much more than just punishment. It's about balance, it's about restraint, and it's about a higher accountability. So let's unpack it. All right, so here it is, verse 194 from Surah Al-Baqarah in the original Arabic. Now, even if you don't read the script, you can just kind of feel the weight and the rhythm of the words, can't you? But what are they actually saying? What principles are being laid out for us here? Well, let's get into it. Okay, now let's switch to the Urdu translation, which really helps the key themes start to pop. You can see words here pointing to sacredness, to respect, but also, and this is crucial, to a permitted response when someone oversteps. And then, right at the very end, there's this vital concept, the fear of God. These are the building blocks we're about to explore. So this all brings us right back to our main question. What is this principle of justice really all about? Because, as we're about to see, it's way more nuanced than just a simple eye for an eye. To really get this, we have to start at the beginning with the context. The verse doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It begins with a very specific cultural and historical idea, the sacred months. I mean, just imagine this for a second. A time and place where, for certain months of the year, all fighting was completely forbidden. It was a mandatory time of peace. So you can see why breaking that truce, why committing an act of aggression then was seen as this profound, heavy violation. But what I find so fascinating is this word, hurumat. The principle isn't just about violating a sacred time. It actually expands to include violations against anything held sacred, a holy place, a promise, even a person's honor. It's a much broader, much more profound idea of what we must hold sacred. Okay, so if someone crosses that sacred line, what's the next step? This brings us to the legal core of the verse, this whole idea of retribution and proportionality. And the verse is incredibly direct about this. It makes it clear that if a violation happens, a response isn't just allowed, it's a part of justice. The core idea is that aggression can't just be ignored and swept under the rug. The specific term for this is qisas, and this word is absolutely key to the whole concept. It's not about wild, out-of-control revenge. Qisas is a legal term, and it means equal retribution. The entire goal is to restore balance, not to pour fuel on the fire. And you can really see the limit in action right here. The text creates this perfect mirror. Whoever has assaulted you, assault him in the same way. It's not just a suggestion, it's a strict formula. The justice has to be proportional. This is a powerful break on any impulse to just go too far. But the verse doesn't just stop with this legal rule. It immediately places it inside a bigger ethical framework, which is where things get really interesting. It's what we can call the guiding fear of God. And this is so important. Right after granting the permission to retaliate, the verse adds this huge condition. It's like it gives you the right to act with one hand, but immediately uses a higher principle to guide that hand. This right to justice is not a blank check. That guiding principle is captured in the word taqwa. Now, it's often translated as fear of God, but it's so much more than that. Think of it as a constant God consciousness, a deep awareness that you are always accountable for your actions. It's this taqwa that acts as the internal check, making sure that in the act of seeking justice, you don't become an aggressor yourself. And this final line, it's the ultimate check and balance. Fear Allah is the command. But then comes the reassurance. Know that Allah is with those who fear Him. The message is just so powerful. When you act with justice and this deep consciousness, you aren't acting alone. You are divinely supported. So, we've looked at the context, the rule, and the spiritual guide. When you put it all together, what's the core message we're meant to take away from this single verse? It really seems to boil down to three powerful pillars of ethical action. Number one, respect sanctity. Acknowledge and uphold those norms of peace and respect. Two, respond proportionally. Make sure any response to injustice is balanced and never, ever excessive. And three, act with awareness. Let that higher consciousness, that taqwa, guide all of your actions, especially when you're the one delivering justice. And so we're left with this really big question to reflect on. How does spirituality change the very concept of justice? What this verse suggests is that it elevates it. It's no longer just a transaction between people, but a profound act of conscience, of balance, and of ultimate accountability to something much, much higher.